Oh,
That's what I think. The only thing I can do is answer these outside.
Okay. How you feeling?
Yes.
Yeah. Are you alive?
I am alive. I'm feeling a little better. I'm back to my baseline terrible, so that's good. It's good. Yeah. Hopefully you don't have to use it.
okay, we all set?
Yeah. All right, so we will call the Board of Public Works workshop of September 5th, 2024 to order. If we could please call the roll.
Roll call, Commissioner Shea,
Present.
Commissioner Lemon,
Present.
Commissioner Gregg,
Present.
Commissioner Espedia,
Present.
and Mayor John just is absent.
All right.
And we also have Alderman Dowd, our liaison. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so we wanted to have this workshop to go over some of the projects that Public Works is leading. There are other projects that we won't go over today, like the Riverfront project. Economic Development is leading that project, but we will ask Director Hannon to come in and present that at another time. I think we have some public comment about West Hollis Street, which we're happy to hear. I do also want to mention that we will just be taking public comment. This won't be interactive today, but on October 1st, we will be having an interactive session on West Hollis Street. So we would welcome everybody back, and we will present everything and then take public comment after that. Okay? So with that, Commissioner Shea, if you want to start with public comment.
Yes. Are there any members from the public who would wish to comment today? Somebody want to take a seat?
That's not okay.
Yep.
Just roll it right.
Oh, come on.
Maybe the mic right here.
Yeah, good.
Oh,
Does she hold it down or anything?
No,
It's actually working. It's on.
it's on already.
Just so it gets recorded. Go ahead, tell where you live.
and your name.
627 West Hollis Street. My name, Joyce Kentakis Turner.
Are you in your driveway?
And oh yeah, definitely. It's awful. It's just awful. I've been here in that same house since I left Massachusetts. Okay, so it's like 50 years I've been in that house. And I was so happy. I said, oh gee, this is a nice place, right? You think, yeah, sorry. But now it's like a road rash. Everybody's going this way on, by my house, like almost up onto the grass, on the lawn. They're driving, aggressive, very aggressive. Like tonight, I was trying to get out because everybody's getting out of work, okay, and I'm trying to get out of my driveway, and nobody's stopping, and then all of a sudden I found a way to get, out, but that car that was coming up was going very fast, so I had to gun it to get out. So it's ridiculous.
Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
Yeah, really, really, really. I'm glad I don't have little kids anymore, but I would have moved a long time ago.
All right.
Seriously.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anything else to add?
Oh, yeah. Is this one on? I'm Kathy Peterson. I live in Westgate Village. I've been there 38 years after coming from right over the highway where I grew up. And same as you all know, the traffic's insane, the speed and the amount. It is very hard to pull out of Westgate and take a left which I do a lot of days to head toward Hollis for walking, and I help run their senior program. And but the biggest thing of all that I'm always leaving voicemails about is the Riverside intersection. Now that the schools are back in session, I'm sure the traffic light's gone to longer setting to let the schools in and out at 2 o'clock or whatever. So the 2 lanes going straight, heading west toward Hollis, Pepperell, Brookline, really back up. The right lane, that's going to stay a lane, is backing up to the Greek church, which I'm sure you all know. And the left lane, I mean, it's just so aggravating when people go up the left side, that shouldn't.
Yeah.
And I'm just begging at Riverside for an overhead electronic sign that says left lane for left turns only, because there are some developments and they need to be in the left lane, but most are really going straight and completely cutting in on everybody. And are we going to wait till somebody goes postal? That's what I say. Because it's really frustrating to wait through a couple light cycles just about and have all these idiots, just coming right up past you, and you're like looking right at them and glaring at them, and how do they have the right to cut you off that you've been waiting longer? And it's all the time, it's constant. They're not following your arrows. And the last time we had the giant meeting here, how many people said they live right there and have almost been hit so many times? So we got lights everywhere else and signs everywhere else. I think it'd be lovely to have a sign right there saying, left lane. I know, there's nobody to monitor it. The police are very short-handed, but that's what I'd love to see. And if in the long run the consultant's idea is going to be roundabout rotaries and bicycle paths, I think we do want all the people getting out of Nashua at the end of the day to get out of here. And I don't know how much it's going to really back up adding those things. I know it slows things down and makes people safer, but we got to get people out of here. And you're talking now too about the Amherst Street corridor. You got everybody from out in Dunstable and Pepperell are coming through us to get there. Everybody's avoiding Amherst Street and now Broad Street, and Broad Street's going to get a lot busier, building on the Mohawk Tannery. People are coming here to head to Milford, Hollis, Lineborough, because they're all moving that way for a quieter life. But just really hoping for a sign that if we're going to let people get out of here, 1 lane. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Paula Johnson. I just live right down the road, right by Ledgewood Hills. On Sunday, at 8:59 in the morning, there were already 2 cones down.
Wow.
Okay, 2 cones down. And then by the end of the day, they were all gone and on the side of the road. It's really a sad thing because
sad.
when this whole thing started, my husband and I said there's going to be a head-on collision because traffic pattern changed. But it didn't change for the better, because when you watch the people coming down West Hollis Street, and we complained about this at the West Hollis Street corridor meeting, and I've complained about it for a long time. Let me give you some history. When I moved into my house, 40 years ago, okay, they were starting to build Ledgewood Hills. It was myself and then Alderman Don Dyer who fought to have that light put on West Hollis Street for Ledgewood Hills, because we had a vision, and that was before I got into politics. We had this vision that traffic was going to become hell on West Hollis Street. Well, it's become more than that. People don't care. I keep asking, can we have police presence there, because they run the light at Wellesley and West Hollis Street. Even if they put a cruiser there, like they do in Florida, and nobody sits in there, they think that there's police watching them. But nobody cares. It has become a speedway. A kid in my neighborhood came down West Hollis Street because they had merged, and when they come down, they merge and they push you over to the right, and they come speeding down. He went riding right down that yellow line, and then when he got to the light, hung a right turn, right in front of everybody. I mean, it's an accident, more than an accident waiting to happen. And when I'm going to the planning board meeting tonight because they want to put more housing out there, they're changing what the plan was for senior housing into multi-use housing now. Yes, Merritt Parkway. And so we keep building, we allow developers to keep building, but we have done nothing to accommodate the roads and the people who are living here. You keep adding more and more vehicles, but there's no place for the vehicles to go. Like Kathy said, they come through Nashua, to Hollis, to Pepperell, and further. And they're using West Hollis Street. And that was never built for heavy traffic like this. It's a two-lane road. Just like Broad Street's a two-lane road, we're going to do something with Amherst Street now because, you know, as I said when I was an alderman, when you have growth, you have crime, I said. But when you have growth, your roads can't handle something that wasn't built for that. And we never were visionaries in this city as to how we were going to accommodate having 100,000 or more people. That was the goal all the time with even Mayor Streeter. We stopped at like 80,000. They wanted 90,000, you know? We're trying to get to that goal, but your roads can't accommodate. And these drivers, they're crazy. They're just crazy now. They're angry, and they're just going to cut you off. So we have to do something. And now, and I love having that charter school there. I think it's great.
Yeah, it's great.
But,
Yeah.
again, we didn't plan for this school when we allowed them to go in. They just realigned the driveway so it would be across from Gendron. But when we were at the corridor meeting, I made a suggestion that maybe we should have an egress in the back to go out on Riverside because it can't hold the traffic. Because the cars are trying, after they drop the kids off or pick them up, they can't get out. And so the other option, and I just saw on East Hollis Street, a pedestrian light, which I hate to put another light, but the school clicks it to let the cars go out for a couple of minutes, let the cars exit, and then let the traffic flow again. You have to come up with something because that's a school with children, and the last thing we want to do is see a bad accident with a child in that car. So before, and Alderman Dowd, maybe you should bring this back to the planning board, and you too, Mr. Hudson, before we agree to any more projects, we need to look at our roads in the city, because these roads cannot handle any more traffic. Thank you very much.
Thank you, and thank you for your comments today. Sir, if you'd like to come around over here. And, ma'am, is it Joyce? If this is your first time coming to join us, Joyce, I just want to make sure that you know that we take public feedback very seriously. We appreciate the input, especially when we're looking at kind of a big overview of a project like this. We don't really have discussion and like a back and forth or ask questions about it generally. I just wanted to make sure you know, because normally in the context of a conversation, I would very much like to talk more about this, and I want you to understand that it's not an indication that we don't, because we do appreciate what you've come to share with us today. Okay, thank you. Sir?
My name's Ralph Pushaw. I'm the president of the Westgate Village Condominium Association. I'm here to advocate for a street light opposite Westgate Crossing. Some years ago, we had a meeting with everybody from the state, the city, the police department, everybody, and they put out a counter. We didn't make the count. We didn't make the count. However, the problem is Westgate Crossing is literally, not technically, but literally, a main thoroughfare. The traffic comes from Main Dunstable Road through Westgate Crossing, and what do? They make a left to go to the dump. Try that in the morning sometime. It's worth your life. Bottom line, I'll be quick. We need a street light at Westgate Crossing, desperately. That's all I got to say.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. And will we kind of incorporate these notes from today into our broader collection of feedback? I imagine so. I just want to kind of confirm that that's part of the plan.
Yes.
Good.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you so much.
And there will be, again, an interactive session on October 1st here. So hopefully you can come back for that as well. We'll be here.
Thank you all so much.
No, thank you all.
Okay. It is there, we will, yes, we will do a brief overview. It's going to be towards the end. It's the last item on the agenda, just so you know.
Any additional
You're
public
welcome to
feedback?
stay and listen.
All right.
We'll be presenting this in more depth, though, on October 1st as well. Okay.
Thank you, Director. All right, so next we have on the agenda is the DPW projects discussion.
Good evening, Dan Hudson, City Engineer. Pleased to be here tonight to speak about a number of projects. As Director Photo noted, we have a lot more projects, but we wanted to kind of highlight some in process and give you some updates. I think the last time we did one of these was back in February, so we've been through almost another construction season, and things are happening. So I'm going to kind of quickly give you updates on a number of projects. Then we do have some concepts for both Walnut Oval area as well as West Hall Street corridor that I wanted to bring to the board, get the board's feedback on. Again, these are just concepts at this point. They're not set in stone, so we welcome the board's feedback on them. And we've heard the public testimony tonight. We're aware of the issues on the corridor from previous discussion. So with that, I'll jump in.
Does anybody mind if I bring the lights down just a little bit?
Yeah, please. It's fine. Yep. The first project, yeah, thanks, that helps a lot. The first project we just want to touch on was Locke and Whitney Street improvements. We've talked about this project for many years, but it's finally here. We have a engineering phase contract with an engineering company, and actually just tonight, we finalized the first public meeting on that project. It's going to be on October 10th at 7 o'clock in the Hunt Building, so look forward to that. That like our early West Halls meeting, will be a public, well, they call it a local concerns meeting, but basically, we're seeking public input. Come tell us everything about the neighborhood, what your issues are. Well, we'll give a brief overview of what the goals we're trying to achieve as part of the project as we see it, but, and I know there's been previous design charrettes done in that area, so there's already some history and background for the project, but that'd be a good opportunity to come out if you live in the French Hill neighborhood there, or even if you don't, to share information about what challenges you have in the area. Obviously,
Dan, quick
yeah.
question, what time is that meeting?
It's 7 o'clock.
Because there's also a special Board of Aldermen meeting now.
Is there that night?
Same time
Okay.
from the Pennachuck
Subject
Waterworks.
to change then, but subject to change. That was a parking lot discussion I had with Alderman Clee, so we may need to reschedule, but that's tentatively that date. But so in that area, we're aware of issues. There's limited ADA access. You can see, we have sidewalks that end at a vertical curb that's not traversable by people in wheelchairs, and even those, it's hard to walk even if you're able-bodied in those areas. So the project plans to make improvements, remove sidewalk obstructions. There's no bike lanes in the area, so we want to add some bicycle accommodation. So yeah, the project as we currently see it will widen sidewalks where we can, construct ADA ramps, add bike lanes. The project's kind of envisioned that the streets would become one-way, which would make some space available for bike lanes and wider sidewalks. We want to the project budget is not unlimited, so we want to fully reconstruct one side as ADA compliant as it can be. The other side, we're going to do the ramps, and hopefully in a future project, we'll be able to do more work on the other side of the street. But that's kind of the vision of the project as it is currently. Again, we'll welcome public input, and that we'll go through a design process and ultimately the construction process. Yes.
I can't remember, was there any eminent domain requirements for this, or was this all when we widened the sidewalks, we're building it into the street?
So this funding is being run through the local project administration process at DOT. So if there are right-of-way impacts, which there certainly will be temporary impacts, if there are permanent impacts, there's a whole federal process for that through the Uniform Act in terms of how we need to acquire those rights. Eminent domain, that's forceful taking of property rights where maybe you don't
Sorry, I
have an
shouldn't use that
accommodating.
language.
So we try to avoid, we try to avoid that when we can. But sometimes the public need for something is so great that we're forced to go through that process. So, yeah, it's too early to talk about eminent domain, but
In my brain, I think I was putting eminent domain in with like buying property,
Yeah.
requiring any of that.
yeah, there'll be a whole right-of-way process. One of the things people see actually anytime now, and I think postcard mailing or letters went out, you'll see some survey people out there taking surveys, trying to create the base map, which then we'll build the project off of. So you may see activity out there, but it'll be, years before we're in construction on the project. Next project I wanted to touch base on is,
Dan?
Yes.
Would it be maybe after each project, you could ask commissioners if they have any questions?
sure.
Just project by project?
Yep, are there any other questions about Lock and Whitney before I move on?
Do you know yet which ways you will want to be making, which streets you want to be making one way, and which direction they will be going one way?
Yeah, so the concept is to make Lock Street one-way westbound,
Okay.
towards Main Street, and then Whitney would be the reverse. Again, that's concept, that could change, but in soliciting funding through the DOT program, that's a concept that we threw out there. But again, everything's subject to review and change as we go through the design process. Yes.
If I recall, the kind of one-way configuration was kind of like thought out based on traffic patterns and BAE and school times and things like that to kind of reduce through neighborhood traffic. Is that about right?
Yeah, that sounds right, yeah.
And so my question is, for the sidewalk widening side, is there a plan for the materials at this point? Would you see that being concrete sidewalks, kind of in a similar form and fashion to what will be across the street? Have we gotten that far in the discussion?
So we haven't. Obviously, we have a budget that we're, I won't say working to, lots of projects, they end up needing additional budget, so we'll work through that process. But everything, those will be alternatives. We'll vet, we'll say, okay, you want concrete sidewalks, it costs this much. You want bituminous sidewalks, it costs this much. And in terms of which side of the street, which sidewalk gets improved and, the cost of that, I mean, we take utilities into consideration. One side has all the utility poles, it's probably not the best side for the widened sidewalk, or maybe it is, I don't know. So those are things we'll work through the design process. Nothing set in stone at this point. I welcome people to come out, though, to that meeting and share input.
Appreciate it. Kind of as I've thought about this concept and looked at kind of the duration of how long sidewalks last from different materials and thought about the aesthetics of the neighborhood, I've come to a strong feeling myself that they ought be cement sidewalks. There's a lot of great places in town where it's like a very long road, and the economies, you really just, you can't do cement for
Right.
that kind of long span. And I understand that. I just wanted to share that opinion, and appreciate you taking it.
Yep, thank you.
Thank
Alderman Dodd?
Yeah, just two things. One, I think this is a big project of Trish Cleese, Alderman
Yes.
from Ward 3. So she's extremely interested in this project. The other thing with the asphalt sidewalks, they last a lot longer if you construct them like a street and put a good base under it. You put it on top of sand, they don't last very long.
Excellent points. Any others before I move on to the next project? Okay. So the next project is the Route 111 Bridges Rehabilitation Project. Taylor Falls and Veterans Bridges is our local naming. This project, as you probably are aware, if you've gone from Hudson, is under construction. It's a rehabilitation program, so it's not a complete rebuild, which is, thankful. We'll get done quicker and more efficiently, but I think I've mentioned before, the project involves removing the existing pavement, removing the existing bridge membrane that's above the concrete deck, making deck repairs so that you may have seen that it involves jackhammering out concrete that's in disrepair. If there's rebar, it needs to be repaired. We put anodes in to help alleviate corrosion issues. And then there's bridge joints that need to be replaced, but then it's put it all back, basically. So they're underway on the first bridge, which is the westbound bridge this year. Looking to wrap up around Thanksgiving time, or just before Thanksgiving, hopefully. We've run into a little more deterioration than we had expected. Some of the light poles are cracked. Some of the rebar was more rotted than we expected to see. So we're tracking that. It's not a major issue yet, but is something to consider. Yeah, so here's some progress photos. The photo on the right is the bridge joint on the Hudson side, basically getting reconstructed. So they have to jackhammer out all the concrete that's between all the rebar. It's quite a labor-intensive effort. And then, like I said, build it back with new materials. So here's another photo. You can see there's lighting conduit in that photo on the right that runs through the sidewalk. And another picture of working in that joint area. So labor-intensive project. I think traffic's been flowing fairly well there, so we've been pleased about that. We're a little concerned about just the volume of traffic that goes through there. Not sure that every other phase will be the same, but appreciate everybody's patience as we work to complete the project. We'll do the second bridge next year, so it's a two-year phasing here for one bridge a year. Be happy to address any questions on this project.
The railroad signal failure this weekend, I got caught in that twice.
Different days?
Different days,
Yeah.
yeah. Does that have anything to do with the bridge repair, or?
It does not, and so.
Because people have asked.
Yeah, the
me about this.
engineer from Hudson called me on Wednesday and said, "What are you doing over there? Traffic's backed up all the way to Massachusetts." And literally what he said. He has a good sense of humor, but and I thought it was because we were paving on West Hall Street. So at first I thought that was it. I'm like, oh boy, that's a long backup for that. But it wasn't that. It was the railroad issue you mentioned. Wednesday was the first time I heard about it, but apparently the gates went up. Or they went down, but they didn't go back up, and they were trying to control traffic with somebody that was there.
Yeah, there were civilians. One day I went down there, I was going into Hudson, and there were civilians directing traffic. And so they had two people looking for trains and the rest of them waving.
So
And then when I came back, the National PD was there, and they had closed the road.
So residents are suffering the consequences of that issue, but it's not a city-controlled issue. It's the railroad, and I assume they're working to address that.
I think I know the answer, but the drains on the bridge, do they drain into the river, or do they drain into our sewer system?
So they're called scuppers. They just drain right through the bridge. So it has a great collection, and then it just drops right through the bridge.
So sand or salt goes right in the
Sand or
river?
salt goes in the water. Yes, it does. We don't sand much unless it was some severe icing event, but it's primarily salt. But yeah, it does.
Okay.
Yep. Okay, I'll move to the next project. Mine Falls pedestrian bridge replacement. You've heard of this one before. We basically are waiting for a bridge to show up. Pretty soon the contract will be in construction. The bridge has been ordered. It takes about a year to build the bridge. It's envisioned, well, it will be a truss bridge, kind of similar to this schematic here. The contractor should be mobilizing as early as within the next couple weeks to start building the abutments for the bridge. So this is a picture of the old bridge. This old bridge fell into disrepair. It was removed in the fall of 2022. And then we put out a bid project in order to Evrox, who was a bridge contractor. Those abutments on the old bridge that you see there, they'll be cut down, and then behind those, they're going to drill or install piles upon which the new abutments will be founded. So we won't be excavating all the way down the slope, so there's no wind and water work, that sort of thing. But that'll be the foundation for the new bridge, which will be longer and extend over. We did place a temporary bridge there, purchased it and placed it to accommodate pedestrian traffic while all that work was happening. So long story short, you should see some activity over there pretty soon. Our intent is to keep the temporary bridge open as much as we possibly can. So we're going to do all the bumper work, and we're going to maintain pedestrian flow. There will be a brief period of time where we have to, that bridge will be in the way, and we'll have to remove it while we do the new bridge work. So more details come on that as we get into construction. Are there any questions about that project? Yes.
Just a point of curiosity, did the bridge company do that rendering? That was very different than what we're used to. It's very pretty, but the black and white and the...
It's a good question. This was on the cover sheet of the plan, so it's something that the engineer, I don't know if they developed it or found it or where, I don't know where it came from.
Just sat out
This
there.
was on the cover sheet of the plans that we bid out because that's, essentially the graphically what we were looking at.
It's nice.
Yeah, no,
It's pretty accurate, yeah.
you can't tell what color it is, but you get the sense of what it looks
Yeah,
like,
I
right?
appreciate it. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions?
Any other questions on that project? Okay, the next project is Water Street Bridge Rehab. This is a project that we're currently in design, which we're hopefully we'll be bidding out this soon for construction. Again, we'd like to get a bridge contractor under contract. Probably limited amount of work or no work will happen this year. It'll be queued up for next year's construction. Will be in their queue of work, but we kind of highlighted the Water Street Bridge in this photo, aerial image. It's an interesting bridge. It's on a curve, but the beams are straight and has lots of issues, unfortunately. But we're working with the engineer to detail all those, make sure the work's correctly characterized in our bid, so we can rehabilitate it. A couple pictures here. The one on the left is the bridge expansion joint where the sidewalk crosses. It's, heaved up over time and presents a issue for travel. Bottom right, those are the beams sitting on the seats. There's corrosion and actually one of the bolts there, studs that bolts that down, is engineer picked it up with his hand and set it aside. So it's not great. There's no hazard. I mean, the engineers looked at it. It's safe for travel, so I don't want anybody to get that impression. But certainly, there's plenty of things that need to get repaired and will as part of that project. I'd be happy to address any questions. Yes.
When is the change in direction going in?
So Alderman Dowd references the Board of Aldermen approved converting Water Street to one-way. That'd be one-way from Main Street to Factory Street. That has not been implemented because we've been doing other construction there in the park and riverfront. I kind of view the Water Street work following a lot of the rest of that work down there because we do intend to make some parking modifications and things on Water Street, but we've got a lot of work to do in that area, so I think that should follow the rest of the work down there, phasing-wise. When we go to build this Water Street rehab project, there will be a point in time where we actually have to close the end of Water Street. So we've been talking through scenarios. I think Factory Street's currently one-way towards Main Street. There'd be at least a period of time where Factory Street will probably need to be turned into two-way. So there's going to be a number of changes down there that we'll have to talk through and figure out as part of the construction effort. But no, I kind of view when the Parks project is done, which will be next year, we'll bid out the Water Street to kind of follow that work, and that'll be it might be beneficial that some of that work can happen when the bridge is closed to travel, so that there's a little less traffic that the contractor has to deal with while they're doing the job. So we'll have to dovetail those projects.
So when Factory Street becomes two-way, you're going to have to eliminate some parking spaces?
It's wide, so it has two lanes right now, but the two lanes in the same direction.
Yeah.
So we think we can convert it to two-way. It's something we'll have to look at. But no, the intent is to try to add some parking on Factory Street if we can, like we've done in the summers by putting some barriers up there. So yeah, details to be worked out.
So right now-
I'm just worried about if you can't come up Water Street, and then everybody have to go up to like High Street, then it's kind of an odd circulation pattern to get around the oval, so. So at least in the construction phase, we'll probably need a two-way pattern on Factory, and then we'll have to go to the board and kind of ultimately see. We've talked about making Factory Street one-way and actually reversing it as part of the downtown circulation plan. So more discussion come on that as we develop things.
But when you make that two-way, right now, if you're on the oval, you don't have a stop sign turning onto Factory Street.
Turning right.
It might be
onto-
more safety conscious to put a stop sign in there, because if you're going to have it two-way, it might confuse people.
Yeah, I'll show
We
you.
do, but it's on the left-hand side.
It's on, and it's
Left-hand side,
confusing.
not the right side.
Yeah.
Right
If you're
side.
turning
It
right,
is the most confusing intersection I've ever seen.
It's up there.
yeah.
Somebody
someone
will do
who-
the whole oval, and that'll fix it.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's coming up.
All right, and you'll see, when we get into Walnut Oval concepts, you'll see there's some stuff there, because that abuts that area, so we'll talk more about that then if you want. But are there any other questions about this Water Street Bridge rehab? Yes?
I had brought this up maybe 6 or 8 months ago or something. I just want to make sure it's still on the radar to address. There were lights along that bridge.
Oh, yeah.
And slowly over time, due to the rust, I imagine, they fell or were removed. and it's like this weird dark spot. And so I would fathom that you're looking at sidewalks as part of this. Either way, it will be very nice to restore lighting to that stretch of road. And I just wanted to raise it again and make sure that it's kind of something that we're still being, thinking about.
Yeah, we're definitely thinking about it, and we're actively working on it. We contracted with the same company that's doing the lighting design for the park and the other riverfront features, and we've gone back, found all the old plans, showing the old lighting, and we're working on reestablishing that. So there'd be some lighting on the bridge, but also extend along Water Street, because that warrants some pedestrian scale lighting, because we're going to add some sidewalk or extend some sidewalk over there. So that's actually probably what's holding up our advertising our bridge rehab project. We want to make sure we have the lighting element incorporated in that bid, and so that's what we're working on right now.
That's excellent. I'm really glad to hear that there's been progress kind of on that side of the project, so thank you for looking to it.
Any other questions about Water Street Bridge? Okay.
Actually, one quick question. So on the bottom part, what are y'all's plans for? Because there's a lot of people who used to like hang out, especially people from the veterans home that like to hang out on the bottom. So is there a plan for that space on the
So
bottom?
our plan is to put it all back kind of the way it is. There'll be periods of time during construction where we have staging. We actually need to temporary support sections of the bridge while we're making some of the repairs. But yeah, so there will be points in time where there's areas closed off that, they hang out in right now, or so we'll coordinate with them on that. But no, the end product, we envision that will return to the condition it is right now.
Great. Thank you.
We are looking at the lighting, because there's lighting under there, and we might add a little bit of lighting or change some lighting, so under the bridge as well as above the bridge.
All right.
Okay, Walnut Oval improvements. I'm going to pull up some concepts, so I'm not going to talk a lot in detail to this slide, just that we're in the design phase of that. We're in the engineering study phase of the project. We had one public meeting, again, a local concerns meeting, kind of a blank plan meeting. Within the next month or so, we hope to go back for the second public meeting where we share some of the concepts that you're going to see tonight, and get public input on those, then move to future phases of the design, ultimately to construction. So. Same story with West Hall Street. We had the first public meeting. We've been working on some concepts with the engineer. Turns out it's the same engineer for both projects. And then we got the second meeting scheduled, as the director noted, on October 1st at 6:30 p.m. right here back in this room. So we look forward to everybody returning for that. So with that, I'm going to hop into the concepts and share with you kind of some progress stuff and get your feedback. So we'll start with Walnut Oval because it's a little more concise, and then we'll go to the Hall Street corridor second. So here's one concept. This stems back. There was some studies done for circulation studies, and it was an idea to have a couple of roundabouts down in this area. In this scenario, there would be roundabouts on the northeast and southwest quadrants, and then this section on the left would be left of the oval would kind of be a two-way roadway, but then the Walnut Street on the right, there'd be a separation, like you wouldn't be able to drive through there. You could go out School Street and back on High Street, but like that area would be shut off to through traffic. I think what we've, and I'll show you some other alternatives, but I think what we found is this is challenging. It doesn't really gain us back much ability for pedestrian and bicycle accommodation, which is one of the things we heard from the public. Similar to West Hall Street, we heard the demand for walkability, safer biking. We need to slow traffic down. We need to make this area safer. And this accommodates traffic well, but it doesn't necessarily provide area for some of that activity. Other than that area, on the east side of the roundabout. So let me go to the second. These next two, I gotta find the zoom button here.
I think that's it, yeah.
This next, the next two are similar with one difference. being the southwest intersection on this one, it shows a signal, but that could be an all-way stop, it could be a signal, and then the next one I'll show you, there's a roundabout alternative there. But in working and collaboratively and having meetings, a lot of design meetings and talking it through, we've come up with this concept which largely maintains the existing travel pattern in the fact that the oval is still one way, so you can go one way as you do now on Walnut Street and back around one way on Chestnut Street. The difference is we've narrowed the roadway to one-lane section. There's 2 lanes out there currently, but I don't often see cars running side by side around the oval, right? There's really not enough traffic demand that you need those 2 lanes in the circulating area. So what we've done is we've taken one of those lanes away and provided additional parking, but then also recoup some space for pedestrian accommodation. What we currently show here is kind of a oval walking path around Pennachuck in that area. Envision maybe a width of a multi-use sort of a path where, lunchtime you can go there, you can walk circles if you want. It also, though, provides all the pedestrian connections. You want to cross from one side to the other, you would cross into this center area, and then you could walk all the way around unobstructed and then cross back out. Say you want to go from Central Street to Factory Street, right? You wouldn't have to navigate all these intersections if you didn't want to, in all the pedestrian conflict, vehicular conflicts. Instead, you could cross into the center and walk all the way around and then have one more exit crossing. So we feel this would be a nice amenity and provide, all the connectivity we want, as well as still accommodating traffic. One thing that is changed on this is we show a 2-way segment here on Central Street. So if you're on Walnut Street currently and you want to go out Central Street, you got to go all the way around the oval and back, right?
Yeah.
This would enable you to turn left and head westerly and make that quicker route out of town without having to navigate the whole oval. This design also shows reversal of West Pearl, which I think has kind of been on the city's plan or radar plan here. So this provides a way, you get off, you come down the Veterans Memorial Parkway, Central Street, you can go right into downtown to the National Center for the Arts and the other amenities in downtown, so under this scenario. So it provides that capability. I don't know why this blue box popped up, but this shows what we've asked the designer to do is accommodate matching into a 2-way pattern on Factory Street right now because of the timing of things. We don't know Water Street, rehab relative to that. The width is there for it. If this ends up becoming one-way, it's easy to accommodate. It really doesn't change the rest of the design. Obviously, if it's one way, you can't make this, different movements or whatever, but in terms of design, concepting, it really doesn't change much. Let me just show you the last one then, and then I'll entertain questions on all these. As I noted, I colored that one up so you can see the walkway because it's a little higher. We're still in the black and white version here. When we go to a public meeting, we'll have a full colored up plan, but this shows everything else in that area is pretty much the same other than the southwest quadrant is an oval, or a roundabout. It's a fairly compact one. I don't know if there's a couple in Concord that are pretty small. It's kind of that scale, which is what we've been seeking. It's somewhat challenging to fit a roundabout in this area, actually, because of the way the property configurations are. So we're trying to design something that provides some traffic calming, connectivity, but also fits without major property impacts. So with that, I guess I would welcome any comments, feedback, input. Alderman Dowd has his hand up first.
Yeah, first of all, I think any options on the oval must take into account the traffic flow change one way, the other way on Pearl Street, because we've got that in our plans for this traffic flow downtown. I'd hate to have to change anything we did on the oval again. The other thing is, I think it's much better if you're coming off the Veterans Parkway and Pearl Street's one way the other way to quickly get to Main Street.
Yeah.
That oval's just going to slow things down, as ovals are designed to do.
Yeah.
So
The roundabout, I mean?
The roundabout.
The roundabout,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
I
You
wouldn't be in
prefer this-
favor of that. Now, right now,
The rotary.
that intersection on Pearl Street, if you come out there and you want to take a right onto the oval to get towards like Factory Street, that's like a disaster waiting to happen because cars coming off two different directions with only yield signs, and
Yeah.
nobody, I found, as we have with the schools with signs, pedestrians either can't read or don't read.
Yeah,
So
what,
it's very dangerous, so Pearl Street should be the other way for no other reason than a safety reason, and we already have some plans for changing Pearl Street, so
Yeah.
if it's going in the other direction, that point goes away, but in the interim, that's a dangerous intersection.
yeah, no, it's great points. We do, you can see we squared this up, so right now, people yield, but it's on a portion that's angular, so like those people might be going pretty quick while you're trying to get in, and it's a very confusing intersection. So our thought is, everybody would have to stop here. One thing about the roundabout, it doesn't easily accommodate the westerly flow on that leg like the other concept does. So we would envision in this roundabout, people on Walnut would need to circulate the whole oval still. Versus make that left, because this roundabout and the approaches, when you do a roundabout, you want to separate the approaches, and you'd like to get vehicle deflection to get that reduction in speed. The design speed for roundabouts is like no more than 22 miles an hour. And that it's challenging to do here because of the angularity of the connecting roadway segments. Manny, do you have something?
Yeah, I mean, my thoughts were actually, I like the idea of traffic calming in that area because people love to go around real quick, and those yield signs, nobody ever yields to anybody because they like to think that they own the road. Especially the people who are already in the oval and who just, it gets so, and like, you're right, it's like nobody uses the two lanes of the road. People end up going in the middle, and I'm like, it's 2 lanes, and I'm like, how did you end up in my lane? I literally intentionally got on the right lane so to accommodate you, but so I mean, I would love, I actually don't mind the oval, but I'm also not the person who's coming off the Broad Street Parkway or the Veterans Parkway. I'm the person coming from Walnut Street, which is, I like the fact that you actually on that graphics blocked it off to basically 1 lane, because I actually think that's a good idea. Because right now it's the 2 lanes, and then it gets kind of confusing on which lane you should be in. So I do like that, but it'll be interesting to see like how that works.
The other thing to take into account, I could be wrong, but I think that the casino's closing when that new one opens up. So there'll be a bunch of traffic there that's going away, and parking
Yeah.
being required.
That is a point important to consider. I mean, there's tractor-trailer trucks that come
Yeah.
back into here, and that's one of the design issues we're struggling with is, trying to accommodate them in some fashion, so. Did you have something?
Just to, for the point for the general oval, I love the idea where you're just going down to 1 lane. I think, I'm going to agree with Manny on this one. I don't think that there's any rationale to have 2 lanes there. So definitely, I'm glad that we're playing with that space, that specific space. The other thing I'd say, I actually worked in that building right there in the lower right-hand corner there where the roundabout is, the downtowner.
Oh, yeah.
Used to clean apartments there a long, long time ago. But I was a kid there, and I actually got hit by a car twice right there when I was a kid. I know that what they did was they raised the walkway across there to slow traffic down. But unfortunately, that's kind of like a reactive thing. It's not necessarily something that will help. People like to fly through that intersection, and they don't see the stop sign. I know that we'd probably do something a little bit more like visible. But I do like the idea in the roundabout to slow traffic down there, because when they actually come off of that, they're not going to be like flying at 100 miles an hour into that area where I know there's a lot of families, specifically coming from the downtowner, because the downtowner houses at least, I think there's 50 apartments in there. So that just having that roundabout or something in there where we're really talking about slowing traffic down. If you put traffic lights there, I'd be a fan of that too, because that absolutely stops the traffic, but there has to be something more than there is now with that stop sign.
Yeah, no, thank you for that. Our next step, we've kind of been doing this concept, our next step is to work with the engineers to model this stuff and, run some simulations and see how it all works. Intuitively, I think any of these would work traffic-wise. It seems like seems like they can be accommodated. I think this would probably work as an all-way stop too, I think. But that's something that we're going to analyze and come back with more information on.
You have GIS handy?
Oh, boy, yeah.
Always, right?
Yeah, sure.
I'm just curious what the actual parcel layout is of the Pennachuck property.
Well, let me, it said GIS, although, I mean, maybe it's hard to see on here, but I think it is on the plan. Let me
Is
see.
that inner oval, is that reflective of the actual?
I don't know why that blue box popped up. So the property line is basically this back of what we show as the walkway, I believe. See this dash line?
Yeah.
Yep.
That's the right of way. So we've basically run all this new stuff around it. One of the things I was talking with the engineer about, this driveway's a little tough for Pennachuck, but I really like the, if possible, to prioritize the pedestrian crossing, like keep all that at grade and then have the driveway come up and down or whatever, you know, in that area. So when you're walking, it's, but, I mean, Pennachuck, like a lot of businesses, I think they have a lot of employees arrive in the morning, leave in the afternoon, but most of the day, I don't see a lot of traffic over there coming and going, so I don't think it'll be, I think the circular walkway amenity, you know, will dovetail pretty nicely with their operation.
And it's possible that you said this earlier, I was having some moments of discomfort, so apologies if I'm asking you to repeat yourself. The space, oh, so that dotted line goes up
Yeah,
to
you
the
see,
corner, huh?
I mean, as you guys are aware, this you know, this used to be a traffic flow area, right, which we got blocked off, and so this is the property line over there. So there's a lot of space on the north end of the oval area, which could be recouped for green space or other things.
That's fine. Oh, so that inner, I'm trying to,
All this area,
Would
all
be
this area
green.
could
Yeah,
be
it's all
green
green.
space.
is
and
outside of the Pennachuck parcel?
This is the property line.
Because I'm
Pennachuck
seeing
parcel.
that dotted line go up to the factory
Oh, I know what you
intersection.
mean.
And so I'm trying
This
to,
dash
I think that's just
line.
street, or the edge of the.
yeah, is it the bigger dashed line on the interior?
I
that
think
is-
this is an edge of a hatch pattern or something, I don't know, but the property, my understanding is the property line is this inner line.
Kind of at the core of my question is there an opportunity to make permanent the green space on that end of the oval?
Yeah, I definitely think there is, and I think that, you know, can make a significant improvement over there.
Absolutely.
Remove the hardscape and create something here, and, you know, we'd have to see, some of that probably can be done as part of that state project, maybe some of it, we'll plan for it, some of it may need to follow, we'll figure that part out, but yeah, there's a lot of opportunities there which should be vetted going forward.
I think the thought at the time was they weren't sure what they were going to do with that space, so they just did nothing with it.
Right.
Because there is an expense in digging up all that concrete and landscaping. And if you're going to plant grass in that whole area, better be irrigated, otherwise you're wasting your money.
Right.
Right.
That was at one point part of the oval. And was that filled in by, is that city property? Or,
Yeah, it is, it's part of the right-of-way.
okay, so that's all, then everything in that triangle and everything else.
So
is
you
fine.
can see, this is where the existing roadway currently is in this area, right? So
Yeah.
we've expanded and pushed out to the north for two reasons. One, try to recoup some public space for other things, but then also, you know, slowing people down by pushing them out and around a little bit, so.
I can give some more kind of historic context around what happened there with the reclaiming of the lane. I believe it was when Mayor Dodge's first came in. Does that sound right? Yeah, and there's a gentleman who worked in economic development. His name's James Bayo. He was also one of the instigators for the Whitney Lock kind of public charrette project.
Right, yeah.
And the initiative here was to create an opportunity to re-examine how this space was used. This oval was put in as part of kind of I want to say the mid to late 1970s urban renewal project, which or like efforts on a national level to bring federal money in and do reconfigurations in urban centers. And a lot of it was misguided, or a lot of it created opportunities for learning about how some of these things were implemented and did not work so well. The idea was to it's tactical urbanism. And so you come into a space like this, you take a temporary initiative to change the flow of traffic and see if it works. And so Positive Street Art came in and did some planters, and I believe they planted dots kind of to pattern it out. The property owner at the time donated some picnic tables that were at, I can't remember that, I want to say it was like a Burger King or something like that. He just had them in his basement from a prior business venture. And this whole thing was just to kind of take a moment to reconsider traffic, and if it worked, leave it, and create a space for people to grab burritos and come out and sit. And it hasn't been disruptive, and I think it has in some ways inspired this really kind of in-depth examination of what's possible there.
Yeah, because if you look at it, imagine having that oval still be an oval, like, and then having what's blocked off now, and again, I think it would still be, I mean, it was incredibly chaotic before, and I think it's actually gotten better since that's been blocked off, because it's just been, it gets so messy over there.
Totally agree.
As someone who drives it nearly every day.
So this project would actually include the driving part of this being on the outer part of the oval, and then the inner part of the oval pretty much on the, is that the north side? I guess that's the north side?
It's the north side, yep.
Would be engulfed or taken as part, it would be like we could put green there, we could do a lot of different things, but it's really about that outer part where that hugs the Clock Tower place, it hugs California Burrito.
Yeah,
that area.
This is all largely in the right-of-way, like the right-of-way extends out, right to the burrito place. There's some driveway connections and things where we have to go on to private property to make the tie-ins, but what you see is largely within the right-of-way space that the city already controls. Any other questions, feedbacks on these? Thoughts about the area?
I really like the reversal of Pearl.
Be a good idea.
Everybody agrees we should
Everybody's
move
looking-
Pearl towards Main Street?
Yes.
Lowest hanging fruit. but-
Yeah. Yeah, that'll necessitate some changes over at the intersection of Main and Pearl, but that's fine.
Oh, no,
But yeah, that's part of the plan.
So Dan, who's doing the design on this?
We are,
Internal?
we're in the engineering study phase, so there's still a ways to go in the design. We need to bring it back to the second public meeting, share with everybody what our preferred alternative is. And then we'll go into preliminary design, final design, right-of-way, if we need to acquire right-of-way. We do have some congressionally directed funding as part of this project, and there is a hard deadline on that portion of the funding. So we're going to see what we can do to try to meet that deadline. We may break out part of this project, a portion that doesn't have any right-of-way complications that may take longer to get through a process, right? Break out a portion of the project as an early construction effort to utilize that funding within the deadline, and then follow with the remainder of it. If we go the roundabout option down on this corner, that'll take a little time, right-of-way wise, to get through. We want safety there. I don't know. I heard some preference towards a roundabout versus a signal, or did I? I don't know. I guess I was.
I was like, I just got to figure out something to slow it down.
Signal sounds, I mean.
Signal's a great idea
Signal
too.
sounds great.
Signal would
Although
wait.
I wonder, is that going to slow down traffic?
Because then you hit,
It's becoming Broad Street Parkway.
you hit Central. Yeah, there's this.
People complain about all the time.
There's the Central and one in front of Monahan Manor, and then
It really is, but there's something about that stop sign that just doesn't stop people.
it doesn't. No.
It doesn't.
We've gotten complaints about, there's a stop sign, because there's really two intersections. There's a stop sign at West Pearl, and then there's a yield sign. They're like, what are you doing? There's both a yield sign. I'm like, well, it's actually two intersections. So it's not wrong, but
There's
it
two
is very
intersections.
confusing.
Well, and the yield behavior of the oval is counter to what is typical, and so
Yes.
that throws you off too. So and I couldn't even picture like how it works, because it's like,
because the yield is inside of the,
Yes.
inside the oval, which nobody yields within an oval.
Yeah.
Everyone expects the person
That's not how
on the other side to yield, and then the other person is like, no, I'm going.
Not without a stoplight.
Yep, so.
We would be converting these to more traditional intersections, which I think everybody will
Great.
appreciate from a simplicity standpoint and also a traffic calming standpoint.
Two things with these large projects. One thing I've found to avoid 800 million questions is a master plan with a schedule. And so that people know what's being done when and if there's a critical path analysis, what that is. The other thing is, the problem we have with roundabouts is, once they're built, who the hell takes care of them? Even the one that was really nice down at Riviera, I've heard so many complaints lately about it's going to hell in a handbasket. And I thought Riviera was responsible for that. And we also know what's going on at the one at Nashua High North. That's, nobody knows who controls that.
Dan,
Yes.
for Ledge Street, the school is just like right up there.
Yep.
Is that primarily bus school, or, I mean, I assume there's a lot of kids in the neighborhood that walk there as well?
It certainly is. So the NRPC did a Safe Routes to School study for the Ledgewood area. So yeah, I think we're trying to make it as walkable as it can be. I don't know what the current matrix is of how many walk versus arrive in cars or buses. There are a number of pedestrian crossings out there. We do have
Yeah.
plans to add some rectangular rapid flashing beacons. There's some CDBG funding that we're going to use for a couple of those. So I think we just introduced legislation, or actually it may already exist, but we're going to upgrade the school zone signals and provide some signs with speed feedback, things like that, all in an effort to promote pedestrian safety over there.
The state law is if you're over a mile from the school, you have a bus.
Yeah.
There are a good number of kids who walk there. But,
And, sorry.
but it is, it's a mixed one, so.
Yeah, I mean, except like for Pennachuck, it's not, because my daughter walked to school, and that was well over a mile from where we were.
Shouldn't be.
Well, that, in Pennachuck, most of the kids in my neighborhood walked there, because it was not within busing.
Well,
Maybe they've changed it, though. Lucy is,
Yeah, we have 250 more students there this year than we ever had,
yeah.
and 12 new teachers. Traffic is the biggest issue, right?
Wow.
Lee?
Moving on. That's good.
Just really quickly, Dan,
yeah, go
no
ahead.
change to Chestnut and Walnut in terms of the flow?
No, not contemplated. I mean, we didn't hear demand for that. When we got the traffic counts, I was surprised. It's quite a heavy cross movement for Chestnut, more than I would have anticipated.
I
Having
used
driven through there. Is there a demand for change?
No, leave it, please. The one-ways work there. Actually, and I was going to say, if we do reverse the street from Pearl, it actually would be wonderful, because whenever I do miss the entrance from Walnut, because, West Hollow Street is basically a highway, or Kinsley Street, sorry, I do make the left on not Chestnut. What's the one right after that? No, it's the one. It's the one that's no, it's the one that is where City Hall is at.
Elm.
Oh yeah, Elm Street. You're right. Sorry. So you go on Elm Street, and then you have to make a left to go down East Pearl Street, West Pearl Street,
Yeah.
and then you gotta make the right to get to the Oval, and then go all the way down so you can hit Water Street.
Yeah.
But down Water Street's gonna be gone for me, so so now I have to go to Factory Street. No, it'll be fine.
People are going to be going slow, though. That's a good thing.
No, yes. Safety is number one.
I can't wait till you tell the driving school it's on the street. Yeah.
So as I
It's
said, there'll be future public meetings. Welcome anybody to reach out with thoughts anytime, even outside the meetings. But we are going through the design process, so just kind of want to give you an early view of this one. Any other questions about any of these before we move on to West Hollow Street?
Let's
You
go.
bringing all this stuff up to the planning board tonight?
Am I bringing all?
You said you were talking about it later tonight. Is that the planning board?
No, I think the public speaker said that they were going to planning board. I think they're referencing the
West Hollis corridor.
Yeah, the development down on, I'm drawing a blank right, or at Captain's Corner down there.
Mhm.
That was something the planning board approved. There was a zoning issue they're coming back on.
So Captain, that's the one I was talking about earlier.
That's proposed
Well, they're doing
housing.
work right now to change the intersection, right? There were like 50 trucks there today, tearing up the,
The city's doing the work there.
yeah.
Yeah, we're improving that intersection,
Yeah.
kind of as a follow-on to the school project.
Since the school's new and there are a lot of parents that don't know where it is, can we put a sign up at that intersection that says
A
McCarthy
directional
School?
sign for
Yeah.
the school, okay, that's something we can think about or talk about. Yep. All right, moving on, in the interest of getting out of here tonight, actually getting to planning board at 7 o'clock. Close this too, I'm at it. I don't know what that is. I guess I was trying to get on the web. All right, West Hall Street corridor study. We heard all the public input on that, and we're trying to come up with concepts. Typical, so I don't want that. So we have come up with 2 concepts for the corridor. Let's see. It's a long corridor, so it's a little hard plan-wise. So I'm gonna, you can all see that right now, I'm just kidding. I'll zoom in and we'll kind of walk through the corridor and I'll explain. Well, we've come up with kind of 2 major differences. One is like a flush median throughout the corridor, and the other one is a separated multi-use path through the corridor. So we'll walk through and we'll show you what the differences of those are. I'd like to find the pan button if I can. I'll do the best I can with this. So, again, hard to see, right? I'll try to zoom in, but this is the way at the left end of the corridor at Countryside Drive. One of the goals of our project was to provide pedestrian accommodation all the way from Countryside Drive all the way to basically Riverside, but so that we understand there's a demand there, pedestrian travel to get from trail network and stuff down and off Countryside to Mine Falls Park and other areas, where really it's kind of difficult now to do that. So at this intersection of Countryside Drive, we show a little raised island here for traffic calming purposes as you come into the corridor. We have a left turn lane for Countryside Drive. But then along this corridor, we show sidewalks. I'll zoom way in here. We show sidewalks on both sides of the road. It's hard to tell colors, but they're in purple. And then 2-way travel. We've taken the wider pavement, reduced the travel lanes down, provided some bike shoulders, and then added sidewalks where they don't exist. So you have sidewalks on both sides of the corridor for the length of the corridor. That's kind of the major effort. I'll spin through a lot of this corridor is similar, so I'll spin through it.
Dan, can I ask a
Yep.
question? So for those islands, medians, whatever you call them, is the main way they'd calm traffic as a visual cue?
So, yes, I mean, what physical obstructions in reasonable proximity to traffic flow slows people down.
Okay.
I mean, you felt it. You drive on a rural roadway, and then you come into the urban area, you're like, oh, I got curbing, I got sidewalks, I got more driveways, there's a lot of stuff going on. You slow down, right? Hopefully you slow down. But yeah, in this case, so that's a traffic calming element because you got something in the middle of the road. You can't just fly through and feel as comfortable if it wasn't there. But also, like here, it provides opportunity. Along the corridor, we have spaced out pedestrian crossings. It provides a refuge area for pedestrians. So if you want to cross the corridor, which currently down at this end of the corridor, there's no accommodation across the corridor. But if you want to, in this scenario, we would have the rectangular upward flashing beacons, kind of similar to Main Street, although Main Street's got 2 lanes on each side, so it makes it harder. But here, we'd have 1 lane in each direction. You can cross halfway and cross the other halfway. You don't have to try to take a bite to do the whole thing at once, right? Makes it much easier to cross, much safer to cross, and also provides a traffic calming benefit. So we have, like I said, we have a number of these in final placement. We'd have to figure out a future date. Again, this is a corridor study. We don't have any construction funding program currently. These are ideas at this point, but it kind of creates a master plan in the end, is what we hope, that we can then build individual projects off of towards that goal.
Really quickly, Dan, what is the
Yeah.
study? The study is going to measure how traffic patterns have changed, and what else, just out of curiosity?
So it wasn't, purpose of the study wasn't really to look at the history of how these came to be. It was really, we have this situation now. How do we go to the public says, we want it safer, we want people to go slower, we want it safer, we want to be able to walk, we want to be able to ride our bikes. There's too many, crashes along the corridor. So what we heard, we're trying to come up with concepts to address, and the corridor study is to create kind of a master plan for the whole corridor that future projects will be built off of, like I said. So it's a visioning for the corridor is what it is. We've collected the existing traffic counts. We're analyzing things, but really it was, given today's scenario, what could you do to try to accommodate some of those project goals we heard from the public?
So I think it would be helpful too if you get through both of these concepts, because there's more.
I
to
probably should
this.
start at the other end of the corridor, not this end, because that's where
Right.
that's where there's a lot of public interest. So I'm going to zoom way out. You kind of got a sense of what the typical is through here, so I can kind of get more quickly. So this is, we're here. It's not shown in the aerial yet, but we're sitting in a building here. This is the public works driveway. This left turn lane already exists. Turn lane for the Four Hills already exists. This is where we start introducing that flush median, so it can serve kind of as a two-way center turn lane. What the final configuration of that is, we'll have to figure out, but it's an area that people can traverse over. So you can turn left into the side roads, you can turn left in your driveway, turn out over it as well, but it provides a buffer between each direction of traffic. Hopefully it'd be a texture, a physical sort of thing, so again, it doesn't feel like it's such a wide open sea of pavement that you're traveling through, right, to help people slow down. We have another pedestrian crossing along the corridor. We've kind of put these in where we thought they made sense, but that's all open for discussion. We have envisioned maybe a roundabout here at Westgate Crossing. I know there was public testimony about we'd like a signal. As was noted, counts were done, and it didn't previously warrant a signal. It still doesn't per the counts. Could we put one in for some of the other reasoning? Maybe, but for this exercise anyway, we decided we'd show a roundabout. Again, this is a concept. This is a compact roundabout, fairly small size. Envision that would provide a traffic calming benefit along the corridor. It does enable people to reverse direction as well. Maybe not the very large tractor trailer trucks, but they can't do that now. They have to go through neighborhoods or take other roads to reverse now. So it's not like we're taking something away. But if you're in a vehicle and you don't, it's hard to turn left, you don't want to, you can take a right, come down, reverse direction of the roundabout, and be on your way, right? So that provides an opportunity along the corridor to do that, and you can do that from either direction, right? We did show a raised island here blocking off this roadway because, they could turn right in, and when they want to go, they could turn right out, go around the roundabout, and take off the other way again. They're so close to the roundabout, you don't necessarily need to accommodate those left turns, which are always harder to make on a busy roadway. So that's a concept there. Again, pedestrian crossings. From this point down the rest of the corridor, I think both of these alternatives show the same thing. So I'll spend a little time here and kind of breeze through it maybe in the next one. But we have the existing signal at Wellesley and Ledgewood Hills. We show left turn lanes and things that currently exist there, and no real major changes. Then we have the charter school here. We've been really struggling. The traffic pattern at the charter school has been an issue for a long time. Very hard to get in and out of there. And they have, peak traffic that comes and goes, so it's a kind of challenging situation. The charter school went through a planning board process because they wanted to change the use. They actually bought this property here, and they're expanding their use. There was some question about charter schools and how they fall in the state law, and whether they needed to go to planning board for what they did or didn't. But anyway, they worked with us pretty cooperatively. We had them align their driveway with Gendron Street And they had a traffic engineer look to see, could we pull that intersection together with Wellesley intersection in one signalized system? I don't know if it'd be two controllers, whatever, but it'd be coordinated so that those two would operate in recognition of each other and provide a safe way at this heavy volume driveway to get in and out. It also, being a school, provides a, signalized pedestrian crossing right there at school, for walkers to school. And we think this can work, and it's been kind of set up to do that. I mean, we heard some concern about, the signal's not there, obviously. They realigned the driveway, they studied this area for us, and they added a left turn lane in, taking away some of the left turn lane from Ledgewood Hills. I know there's been some concern about that. I think it's a change of traffic pattern, which whenever there is one, there's concern. People got to get used to the new pattern. Currently, people, if we're choosing not to merge and we're just flying through this left turn lane and then into this left turn lane, right? So now they can't do that. There's a opposing left turn lane. So we put up message boards, we put out the delineators which were hit to try to get people to understand this new pattern. People are supposed to have merged before they get to these turn lanes. So in that sense, we really didn't change anything. They're not supposed to go over the WO and go by everybody and go straight to Ledgewood Hills. They're supposed to merge with everybody else before they get to those decision points. So is there bad behavior on the corridor there? Yes. Does that mean that we shouldn't provide this left turn opportunity to school? We don't think so. And we think we'll continue to see improvement because people will learn the pattern and they'll do this merge. And under this concept, again, we would have some texturizing and things, so it wouldn't be so comfortable, kind of would force that merge to occur a little better than it does today through some physical elements. So that, yeah.
Just really quickly, that doesn't change, I mean, obviously, we're just making it texturized and all that kind of stuff, but it doesn't change the legality behind that at all? You can just still use that area as completely legal?
Yeah, I mean, you can turn left across this. Again, we have to figure out exactly what striping we want to do, but no, I mean, it's intended to be an area that people can turn across and do the maneuver they need to make. But we don't want people using it as a passing lane, fly by everybody, to make a turn in a designated lane further down the street, right?
You can use the stones like we did at the traffic circle.
Yeah. And when we actually come to develop a project, we'll have to talk about that. Maybe there's a portion of this that you do something a little more aggressive. Maybe it is cobbles. Maybe it might be cost prohibitive to do that for the whole quarter, but maybe you do something to force that pattern, and the rest of it is paint or some lesser treatment. Those are details that have to get worked out when we actually go into a design on an individual project. You'll notice we show a pedestrian connection here into Stadium Drive area. So there's currently the parcel that the stadium's on, comes all the way up to West Hall Street. That's a fire lane. So there's gates on each end, but there's no pavement. There's no, most people probably don't know that. So people end up walking through neighborhoods to kind of get to the same place. We kind of want to use that fire lane opportunity, and we've talked to fire about this, but use this fire lane opportunity to create a more inviting pedestrian connection where people can stay on West Hall Street till they get here and then have this pedestrian way. Talking with fire that they need like a 20-foot width for the fire lane. So, probably would end up being a paved path, not dissimilar from what was just done at the in middle school, where there's a connection from Medallion, well, near Medallion, but from the circle to the school. It's a fire lane, but it's...
Would you put the same kind of gates in that we have?
Maybe. Those things would have to get worked out. Yeah.
That funny siren activated.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Works for police and fire.
So we show that on both concepts, which you'll see. And then we get down to the merge area, which there's been a lot of discussion, and I'm sure there'll be lots more discussion before anything comes to fruition, but we show the same pattern with the left merge into the right. That was a change that was made a long time ago. People were familiar with it. We did have some discussion, should we merge from the right into the left, but we're somewhat reluctant to kind of change the whole scheme again. Again, this would need to be a future project, so there's still time to switch gears
That's
with
the
this.
high school?
Yeah, so this is Riverside.
So I can tell you from many, many more days I'd like to count, being in the maintenance building, which is near the track, when that school gets out at 2:10, it only takes 15 minutes or less for all those students to get out of there.
Yeah.
And the reason you have to empty them quickly is because that's also when the police do a shift, and you got to get the police cars out of there as well. They can't be sitting there waiting when they're supposed to be on duty somewhere else in town, so. It's 15 minutes, and it goes very smoothly. In fact, I have observed the drivers at the South School, or the kids are very polite. North, maybe not so much. But South, yes.
Yeah, obviously, that's an important connection here, and obviously, we used to be on Riverside DPW, so we're very familiar with the traffic condition over there.
And the other issue, by the way, is the buses. The buses start at the high school. And the other day, when the buses were an hour leaving the high school, I don't know why, the kids in the elementary school didn't get home till 5 o'clock at night. It
So
can't work that way.
We had some issues out there with that traffic signal system, with some of the detection and some of the timing, so the first couple days of school didn't go great. We had all kinds of backups in that area, and I think we've worked through those by making some timing changes. So it's an area that we continually are dealing with and working on. We do have a Grid Smart camera approved and on order for this location, which every place we put those, we've seen improvement in traffic flow, and so we're excited to have that up and have eyes on that intersection and be able to continually count traffic, and also we believe that'll help make operations work better there. So that's it's coming soon. One major change, though, is we broadened this intersection to include Pateras Drive. Right now, the stop bar, it's hard to see, but it's up in this area, and they're blocked off. So when there's a red light, people are queued in front of them. I've seen people try to turn left out of there through the queued traffic, and that's very concerning. So we want to pull them into the intersection. There's a single driveway also that's right at the intersection, and they're accommodated in the intersection as well, although they currently are, but it's a single-family residence. There's hardly any traffic comes and goes there.
You could add another right turn lane there, because that's city property. It used to be a landfill, but,
Here?
Yeah, right there.
yeah.
Yeah, it is a closed landfill. We haven't showed encroaching on it, but it's something that we in a perfect world, we tighten this intersection up more. This is kind of pretty spread out, kind of the limits what we really like that way. But we think something can work, and we don't have a better alternative to deal with Pateras and make that safer without including them in the signal. So we've shown that. I think if somebody wanted left turn lanes, there's your left turn lane. Heading eastbound, we have a separate left turn lane to turn down Riverside. There's also a left turn lane in the other direction, separate from the through traffic, which would enable people to turn in this driveway or turn into Pateras. So that's our current concept there.
Want to show the next?
What?
Want to show the next?
I'll show the next.
Number
Yeah,
two.
once we move on.
My favorite.
Just trying to get to that.
Man, what's all the street? What a street. What a long street.
There's a lot going on in that street.
I'm gonna close this one. I don't know what's going on with this.
There we go.
I have a little heart failure there. So this is the director's favorite. This is hopefully I got the right one. Yes, I do. Okay, let me zoom in. I'm back at the west end of the corridor. Again, trying to tie in Countryside Drive and carry pedestrian traffic through the corridor. But in this case, we have a multi-use path with a buffer, buffer to the roadway. So we would have curbing, 5 feet plus minus grass, and then we'd have a 10-foot plus minus wide multi-use path, or shared use path, which,
Why the grass?
well, I don't know, grass, there's a buffer there, and it wouldn't be.
Never grows, nobody ever cuts it.
All right, so
I can
maybe-
give you a million places where
Maybe
it's-
some other treatment, but
Gravel. Oh.
point being, there's a buffer to traffic. So
Back to medallion and cut it again.
if you stand right next to cars or you stand 5 feet away, there's a big difference, right? So that the
There
thought
is.
is
Yeah.
make this more attractive,
I was like, trust me. My bike was all
safer,
straight.
actually safer, but also makes people feel safer using it because there's a little buffer from traffic. We wouldn't necessarily have sidewalks on both sides of the corridor. further down the corridor, there's some existing sidewalk, and what we've done in the concept is we've held that side. We've added in the multi-use path on the south side. In this concept, the multi-use path runs the whole south side of the corridor until we get to the charter school, and then it crosses over to that pedestrian connection into Stella's Stadium Drive, which connects you into Muscle Park. So the trade-off here is that we don't have that center area, that we don't have that flush area in the middle of the roadway. That space is basically given to this buffer and shared multi-use path. So that's a bit of a trade-off. You know, if you want to turn left into the driveway, people behind you might have to wait until you do that before they can continue on. So that's kind of the traffic trade-off to the concept. But we'll breeze through the corridor and then we'll get.
One,
Yeah, go
I'm
ahead.
just going to add, Dan, one of the things that we really heard, we did hear, and I was sort of surprised by this, but many of the residents said, we don't feel safe walking. We don't feel safe bicycling. And there were quite a few people that said that. And I don't think I would bike on West Hollis even on
no,
the other.
absolutely
I don't think
not.
it's safe. This multi-use path would allow residents to bike, to walk, to run, whatever it is that they chose to do, and they would feel safe because they would be away from the street. So that's one of the things that I really like about this concept. I think it gives folks in this corridor just some more freedom to get out and about.
Would you make the sidewalks pedestrian and bikes?
It's a multi-use path, it's not a sidewalk.
It's wide enough for two-way
It's wide
travel,
enough for-
so
yes.
for bikes and pedestrians. You can't really do that on a sidewalk. It's only 5 feet wide.
So really quickly, so I do like that concept. I love a concept of having something, especially when it's separated from traffic. I'm wondering if there's some play or give in terms of to Alderman Dowd's point, it is maintenance on that thing is probably going to be a little bit of a pain. So it might be something where you can make it safer and just kind of condense it a little bit with traffic. My biggest concern, I think, with West Hollis traffic is a nightmare at certain times.
Yes.
And when you have people having to take left-hand turns, waiting for traffic to come this way, I can't imagine what that's going to look like on peak.
Yeah, we do still have some left turn lanes at some of the major intersections, but there's a lot of other intersections, obviously, so that is a concern.
And also just getting to houses, right? Like a lot of
Yeah.
people live up and down
Yeah.
that area, so they're going to be stopping constantly on that road and only having the one lane. I think you're going to see a lot of that. So I'd love if you can have that multi-use path, but also kind of play with that idea where people can pull into another lane to just at least have that buffer to continue on traffic.
Yeah, and I don't know what width is available. We'd have to look at it, but
Sure.
like Main Street and Concord, they have a center area. It's not a full lane width,
No, it's not.
but it's an area that provides some additional width, so that, you know, up there, that's an urban area, so they take, you know, trucks park in the middle of the street to do deliveries. But there's enough width that somebody can be waiting to turn left and somebody can get by, right? So I think that's the thing we would want to hopefully still enable.
Still enable, okay.
And it is a very uncomfortable left if you want to make that left.
I know.
Because it's like, sometimes you have to. Like,
There's also.
you don't want to, though.
There's also, that would also give the ability to go from Mine Falls Park bicycling to Countryside and into those other paths, which would be a really huge advantage for residents.
So those crosswalks, again, what kind of a safety issue are you going to have with them? Stoplights, or are you going to have the ones like you have on Ridge Road?
Yeah, we envision this to be like the rectangular rapid flashing beacons like we have lots of places, Main Street and other places.
Okay.
So yeah, cross,
So you'd still have refuge.
you just have refuge in the middle, so you're not forced to do the whole thing at once.
One of the places that residents talked a lot about was getting to Fotines.
Yep.
You can't get there
I'll,
safely.
Getting to what, sorry?
Getting to
Fotines.
Fotines.
And, you know, the grocery store. And
Used to be next to the flower.
Fotines,
It used to be, yeah.
Yeah, right.
It's next to the flower place.
So there would be a crosswalk there
Yeah.
with rapid flashing beacons and a refuge island so that
Great.
What's the speed limit on West Collins?
35. 35, yeah.
Theoretically.
Yep,
In theory.
yeah,
40 to get to Hollis.
right.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're supposed to be 35.
So we've shown, it doesn't change the geometry much, but we've shown a signal at the landfill entrance under this concept. It's something that, again, volume, traffic warrants, may have trouble meeting, but, a signal out at this end of the corridor could provide some platooning, which would help make some of the turns in and outs of other side streets
So
easier to make.
your concerns about getting in and out of your driveway
Yeah.
would
So-
provide some gap.
So that's something that, has been talked about in the past, and we showed on a concept for discussion purposes with the public, but,
I'd just like to take a moment, if I could,
you know,
to give equal credit to drivers, like at that merge coming towards here. Equal credit to the drivers on the right and left-hand side for having aggressive behavior. I don't want to pigeonhole those left-hand lane people. I was one of those left-hand lane people today, and there was a row of tight traffic, and I'm in the left, and there's a nice space here, and I slowed myself down and got ready to turn in, and
It won't let you.
no, and no, they let me. I made sure that they let me. They weren't
He's
very.
taking credit.
They weren't very happy
Happy that they let you.
because they felt entitled to pull right up to the car in front of them when we should all be aware that there's a merger happening. And the driver aggressively rode behind me, like this far off, big truck in my rear view. And today, as I went to take a left-hand turn into the offices here, I was very tired of this person behind me, and so I started into the double yellow a little early for the left-hand turn lane. That was not soon enough for this person. They sped up aggressively to get around me, and I swear there was less than a foot of clearance between our vehicles as this person was going around me. Anyway, I think that this will help to address that potential opportunity for aggression. I think that all of this traffic calming is really good and will be good when we get there. I've been sitting on that story since you shared yours earlier on, and had to let it out. So thank you.
but thank you. I think everybody has stories of
West
issues on
Hollis
the
Street.
corridor. I had somebody
Yeah.
pass me once on the corridor, it's the same thing. So
We
it's-
did look at a
yeah.
roundabout where this light is, but
That's tough.
unfortunately, we're afraid that the roundabout would get backed up in the mornings and, and we have trucks that are
was gonna
lined
say,
up trying to get
especially-
into the landfill before it opens.
Yep.
So you'd back it up. So, and plus, there's really not enough width to.
With
but
bigger
anyway,
trucks, it's
so we
definitely
thought
harder.
the traffic light might be a better solution.
Good points. So cruising down the corridor, all this is pretty similar to the other. We talked about Fotine's Market, so here's a crossing of Fotine's. And then this is the same of both concepts, roundabout at Westgate.
So the trucks really do go into the neighborhoods to turn around? Is that how it's done?
My impression is most of the trucking out there is through trucking on the corridor. It's not necessarily
It's not.
going
I don't think anybody
into the
turns around.
neighborhoods, but yeah, if you get a furniture delivery or something, they gotta go where they gotta go.
The only time is I think if they miss the
Yeah.
landfill entrance,
Yeah,
but now with this building, that if they miss the landfill entrance, they'll tend to come into
Come here.
this.
yes,
and, yeah.
yes.
Okay.
yeah.
We've
So-
seen that happen.
So if you're going to put legislation for a roundabout, one of the things I'm going to want to see in that legislation, who maintains it?
That's a good
Yeah,
start.
it's important consideration, that's correct.
Yeah, we could even do something like, I want to say the roundabouts in Pelham, because Pelham felt like they had 2 stoplights for forever and didn't want any more, so they got $2 million roundabouts in the center of town.
Oh, yeah.
And they've got large, just kind of it's handsome looking, and it's a nice, just big cement area. I'm pretty sure, it's been a little while since I've driven
Good little
through
statue.
that part of town, but I'm pretty sure that like if like an emergency vehicle needed to like get through, they could kind of cut over some of that cement because of the way that it's graded. But in the center of it, there's something that, you know, keeps it from being compromised. So we might have an opportunity like that to do something like that
Yep.
without creating a maintenance issue.
Keep it simple.
Good points. I think this is the same on both concepts, but we've shown a raised island at Park First Drive. That's because there is lots of connectivity in these other streets, so we don't, every street doesn't necessarily need to be able to turn left out if there's connections. So it's you know, access management is one of the things that to consider. So we've shown this one here for discussion purposes. Just want to raise that because I don't think I mentioned that before. I think the rest of this is pretty similar. The only difference is we do have this shared use path come down, and then we would have it cross at the signal, expanded signal at the charter school, and then out, whoops, I clicked the wrong bridge, and then out that access way out to Stadium Drive. I think the rest of this is the same. Let me just double check.
Nice.
So one more look at the challenging area here. That's what we have right now. So October 1st is the next meeting. We'll come present all this and take additional public input. But that's where we're at. Any additional questions about West Hollis Street or additional feedback?
For the Micro Society Charter School traffic comment from earlier today about I think that's what it was about the using the crosswalk signal to trigger the lights in a certain way so that families could get out. Did I understand that comment correctly? Yeah?
Yeah, I don't recall who made it, but I think that was a desire, is to use the signal to create those.
And
Yeah,
coordinate
access.
it with Wellesley.
On East Hall Street, the school could hit a button to stop traffic.
Oh, okay. So it wasn't about,
Straight out when they need it.
okay, it wasn't about this location
I think.
then? Or,
No, I think that's
I
what
think it
they're.
was. I think they were saying hit a button so that the signal at Wellesley would stop everybody, and then they could go. I mean, this does that and more by providing pedestrian connections and providing a signalized egress from the school. So I think.
My follow-up is, I'm just wondering if that is an issue, and if they're kind of manually managing the lights, is that something that we can help with in terms of adjusting the timing on those? I know that it's varying degrees of complexity depending on the intersection and what's there for equipment, but I just wanted to throw that out there.
I can tell you from our experience at Pennachuck, the kids having access to stopping the traffic, not good.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, and it's also, it creates a conflict. So you see drivers, and the driver's there, and the person from the school is managing the intersection with the crosswalk button. And so those drivers are going to feel, some of them who notice that this person is responsible for the fact that they're still waiting in traffic, are going to feel some type of way about that person, have feelings. If you take the human element out of it, it's just another dang stoplight. So, if there's anything that we can do on our side to mitigate the need to do that, whether it's like a 15-minute window where the signal timing is a little different, that might be a good way to address the issue raised in the feedback.
No, it's a good point. Something you can consider. I did want to say too, there's discussion about, well, nothing's happened out here. After we had that first public meeting, we heard all the testimony. We did go put up radar speed feedback signs, try to at least improve driver awareness of how fast they were going, what the speed limit was. We have proposed legislation that will add school zone beacons out here on West Hollis. They don't currently exist here. in addition with changes at other schools as well, but that would, we hope, improve pedestrian safety here as well. So I just want to note those two things.
Is that the legislation you have going through?
Yeah, there's legislation, it cleans up some of the current legislation is not 100% in conformance with what's actually out there, so the legislation makes some adjustments to make it reflect what's actually out there, but then also adds in a couple of additional school zones. In one case, we have school zones signal at one end of a roadway, a quarter, but not the other end, so it adds one at the other end, so it's a whole host of changes, but the idea is to provide that latest and greatest equipment to try to encourage people to drive appropriate speeds during school zone, during those peak periods.
Somebody was asking today on Facebook if they could raise the speed limit on the Veterans Parkway.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, seriously? I mean, I understand it's tempting, but, you know, it's not that long.
Right.
They
It's not.
Most people
suggested
do 50
45.
anyway.
Yeah, I mean, it's-
Yeah.
well, it's officially 30, and it's like, I was thinking 45 might be more reasonable, and I'm thinking, yeah.
Then they'd be traveling 60.
Right,
Yes.
exactly. We know how
See,
that
but they
works.
stopped doing
Yeah.
50 and they weren't chasing it.
I have a question. So the Brian McCarthy Middle School, are students in this area served by that middle school? Is that,
I do not get involved in the distribution of students to
Okay.
schools because that's a non-winning proposition.
okay. So the kind of the reason that I'm asking that question is because I was at Triangle the other day conducting business, and the staff person had feedback about kind of the new arrangement of bus pickup, which side of the road it was on, and the potential need for crosswalks in that area. I gave this person my email address and asked them to send me more information about it, so hopefully we'll get a more of an idea of what they were talking about. I just wanted to note that if these neighborhoods are served by the middle school, though we've collected a lot of feedback that has gone into this, now that we have that adjustment and people are getting used to the kids going to school and the traffic and the buses routes and all that stuff, we might have an opportunity to draw additional feedback that could help serve this effort from the parents of the school.
So they have a fairly new bus director, and this year, because of the middle school switch, they have a lot of new bus routes, a lot of new bus stops, and there's a lot of things that haven't been working. They were trying to fix one at a time. We had elementary school kids getting picked up on Amherst Street. That wasn't going to happen anymore. 7-year-old on Amherst Street, no. So we've had that change, but it's been difficult the first few days.
Any additional feedback? I mean, you know where to find me if you do have any later.
We know where you work.
Yeah, we don't work, we're easy to find. So feel free to reach out to either myself or Wayne Husband, the senior traffic engineer, about these projects or any other areas that you have issues or see issues. It's funny, sometimes people call us about a signal issue and they're almost apologetic. I don't want to bother you, but I had this issue. I'm like, no, don't reach out to us. Let us know what's going on so we can address it. We don't know what we can't be everywhere. We don't see everything. If you don't bring it forward, we might not hear about it. I mean, we'd like to hear about it before it becomes a bigger problem. So always feel free to reach out to us and share that.
So speaking of that, I think I had talked to you about Amherst Street. The Sharon Avenue light turns green first, and then the one by the mall. And the cars haven't cleared yet, so it just backs up across
Yeah.
Sharon Avenue.
You write that down, Wayne.
That light at the mall has to turn green first to clear that traffic out. This is all times of the day and weekends.
Yeah,
And then Sharon Avenue, and then the traffic would flow a lot smoother.
we're working on, I don't know if this is the issue there, but we do have this coordinated signal system out there, but it's old copper pair wire is what it's running off of. So we need to make improvements on that corridor in terms of the intercommunication between signals. So we do have plans. Actually, we run fiber out to Blackstone Drive, and we need to go back and tie in the signals into that. So there are some issues on the corridor, things may not be working perfectly because of that, but that's something that we can look into and see. If it's always working the same way, the way it should, incorrectly, then that's, maybe it's talking to each other, but things are out of sync, so that's something we can look into.
Yeah, something you and I have talked about, and people keep complaining about is sight lines on corners.
Yep.
We want to do some legislation.
Yeah, our ordinances could be improved probably in that area. There's a need for more sight distance than what the ordinance provides, so yes, that's on our list. Now that we're back into, summer's over, it's time to get after the legislation, because we're having regular meetings, and so yeah, appreciate your willingness to help us with that when the time comes. Any other comments, feedback?
It takes a lot of energy to go through this depth on so many different projects, and I just want to recognize that and appreciate you taking the time, but also the effort that goes into this. So,
Yeah, no problem, thank you. Happy to do it.
We just have non-public.
Yeah, so, do we have the language for that?
Here.
You got it?
All right. Is there a motion for non-public session?
I make the motion.
Nice, yeah.
And so there's a,
I move by roll call.
No, thank you for coming.
Thank you.
I move by roll call that the board go into non-public session pursuant to RSA 91A:3, comma, 2B, the hiring of any person as a public employee.
no, I haven't. Thank you for asking.
Okay, roll call.
Commissioner Shea?
Present, yes.
Commissioner Lemon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gregg?
Yes.
Commissioner Spedia?
Yes.
I move that the Board of Public, oh, no, sorry.
We're good.
Are we ready to make it? Okay. I move by roll call to seal the minutes of the Board of Public Works Personnel non-public meeting of September 5th, 2024, until such time as the majority of the board votes that the purpose of the confidentiality would no longer be served.
Commissioner Shea?
Yes.
Commissioner Lemon?
Yes.
Commissioner Gregg?
Yes.
Commissioner Spedia?
Yes.
All right, is there another motion?
I motion that we adjourn this meeting.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye, aye. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank
Nice
you.
job.
Oh, thank you. Oh.